Welcome to Quantum Quest Conversations. I'm your host, Megan,
And I'm your host, Heidi.
the podcast where curious conversations lead the way into awakening, growth, and infant discovery. So today we have a special guest. She is very close to my heart. She was one of my very first mentors in mediumship. We welcome the beautiful Missy Tolley. She is an author, a spiritual business mentor, a fellow podcaster, and a founder of Soul School. She is known for her work as a psychic medium and now helps spiritually driven people find their purpose, step into their gifts, and create impact and income that feels aligned with who they really are. So, welcome, Missy.
Hello and thank you for having me here. I'm really excited.
Yeah, we are super excited to have you here. It's been in the talks for a while, and Megan always gets so excited. So, I got her excitement.
I
And
was surprised. I was surprised that Megan's like, "Can we have you on the podcast?" I was like, "Yes, queen, of course. Anything to help you guys. I'm all about it. So, let's go." That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, and I love your energy, and that's why I was so excited to tell Heidi all about you because I remember feeling so lost in the beginning of my spiritual journey and not like really knowing anything about mediumship. And I'm like Googling like mediums near me. And honestly, that's how your name popped up. And ever since then, I found you on social media. I've taken your courses and I have just been absolutely hooked. And then I told Heidi about you, and we both jumped into your soul school. So now here we are today, and I'm so excited to talk about that. So that's how I want to start off is, Missy, if you want to dive into letting our audience know what is soul school, and what made you want to come up with it? Like what's the energy behind it? Um, just tell us all about it because I love everything I've learned from it, but I like to hear it from you.
Well, I love it. This is such a really valid question because Soul School was born from this simple observation that I had that I kept seeing my students and my clients that are deeply intuitive, spiritually connected, and incredibly gifted, and they were stuck with what to do with it, just like you.
Yeah.
Just like you, Googling who do I look for? How can I learn this stuff? Yada, yada, yada. I know that you were stuck in trusting yourself. You were stuck in probably showing up confidently with your own intuition. And a lot of the people that was coming across are really kind of stuck in turning their natural gifts and talents into something sustainable for them, whether it be serving the collective conscious with impact or creating income doing what they were passionate about, something that drove them. And I feel like at the root of it, I noticed this one thing that there was this disconnect from people. They had this disconnect from their own like inner authority, and they knew things, they felt things, they had insights, but they weren't really anchored, if you will, in trusting themselves enough to act on those instincts, right? To lead or to really kind of build from what they were searching for. And I think we've all been in that place where we don't really know what we want, but our intention is there, which that's to me one of the most important things is where intention comes in, because a lot of people think that intention is just a wish or a goal. And real intention, I understand, can be very, very powerful. It moves you, it demands clarity and courage and action. And that clarity, that state of really knowing what you want and trusting yourself and giving yourself the permission to have that. That's exactly where Soul School comes in and helps people achieve what they want in the aspect of spirituality and business for all of the soulpreneurs out there. Soul School became this real life, me teaching courses in person to groups of 5 and then 20 and then 40 and then 100 people at a time were showing up to these weekend little classes that I was having. And then when COVID hit, it was like, okay, we can't do that anymore. So I learned to take them online. And so I created Soul School, the membership, and it's for people who really want spirituality that actually works for them in real life to help serve an impact that they're passionate about and to create sustainable income, whether it's for a hobby or just uh, something that they want to do full time. I mean, I know that we're all here as a soul, as the embodied spirit, living in this on this side of heaven, if you will. And we have to be able to build relationships. And unfortunately, money is the thing that bothers all of us. And so, if we can take our purpose and we can create impact and we can bring in income, whether it's just to pay the grocery bill or to pay your mortgage, we deserve that. We're able to experience that. God wanted us to experience fruitfulness. And that's what we're here doing. And it's not about, Soul School is not this thing of, oh, these courses of floating off in the clouds and meditation. That is not what Soul School is. It's a collection of the courses that I've put together that people can access anytime. And it's about how to I guess I put this together so people could learn to listen to their own intuition, whether it was for their own use to help other people, but it's about taking aligned action. And inside of Soul School, we are talking about energy and mindset and tarot and meditation and Reiki energy and healing and mindfulness and holistic practices. We're talking about purpose and practical ways to get results that you're looking for. And it's always through soul alignment, if that makes sense. And for people who are really ready to step into their full purposeful potential, and create impact in the world, which is what our souls are searching for right now. That's who I bring into Soul School. It's who I want to be around. I don't want to be around the people that are negative and sad and depressed because I can't help you help yourself. I guess that would be the way to explain Soul School in the best way I can. I mean, I think it's all about you have to take action on what you want. And and I had to learn to go online and be digital and creative in that way. And I feel like Soul School, we're small, but we're growing. And we have an amazing group of coaches. We have a creative coach. We have a frequency coach. We have a business coach. We have, um, obviously, we have mediums that I've trained and work with and have their own thriving businesses. All the people that I've been working with over the last 10 years have really come into themselves in such a beautiful way. They've really embraced their agaki, if you will, and that's a Japanese word for your soul's mission. And I just think that's profound. And if that's the work I'm doing and that's the way God is leading me, then that's how I feel like I need to trust that and be obedient to it.
Very well said. I have a question too.
Yes.
So you explained to us the how the school came to be and what it is. What personal experience originally led you into this work before it became a business or a platform?
It was really clients coming to me. It was really, how do I say this? The best way to say it is if you go to school, I'm going to give you a little idea of how the whole thing will come into a picture. Let's say you go to school and you ask the teacher, "Hey, can you teach me something?" And the teacher says, "Well, I can teach you to tie your shoes or I can teach you to do this work." You have to be willing to learn. And I love that saying that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I kept getting clients that were coming in that were like just really asking the same questions over and over and over again. And I felt like I was just repeating myself, but I couldn't ever go any deeper than that 1 hour session. And so we started on focusing on defining people's purpose, creating um, impact out of their purpose. What did they love? What served their heart? What were they passionate about? And it was really helping them to activate aligned intention with clarity and really being able to focus in and see that they could do something if they chose to. And it really came out that I just didn't have enough time to help that one person in that 1 hour. And so I started telling my clients, hey, I'm going to put together a small class if you're interested. And they showed up in droves. Like it was incredible. It was humbling. I get emotional about it because it was just like God's work. And I could see that. And even though people were coming into soul school and they weren't really about the mediumship part of it, but we were about the holistic healing, the mindfulness, the wellness. And to see the actual healing come in, that was phenomenal because my clients that were coming in for mediumship, they were leaving, but I didn't feel good because I couldn't take their pain away. I couldn't make them feel the hug from their loved one. I couldn't help them hold their child one more time. I didn't get to help them celebrate another birthday. But what I was able to do was explain what grief is like. And I have a book, it's called Wisdom Nuggets from Heaven, and it's a medium's collection of inspiring ways to grow through grief. And I felt like if I could teach people that grief is like dirty laundry, sometimes it's neat and clean put away and we don't have to deal with it. And other times it's this heavy chore that if we don't deal with it, we're naked in life. And we can't walk through life naked. We just can't, right? We're not able to now. I mean, in some cultures you can, but not here in the US. But the thing is like, I felt like if I could teach my students and my clients to understand grief, to understand that their grief doesn't always come from the loss of a loved one, but the lack of the things that they didn't get to have with them, and I could teach them how to have metamorphosis in their pain and turn it into their supernatural fuel I call soul fire, then let's do it. Let's create impact out of your purpose from this pain. And that was leading a lot of my clients into this, what I like to call breakdown leads to your breakthrough. And it's very accurate. I've seen it with thousands of my clients. And my students are absolutely amazing. Like, I'm so proud of them. They don't even understand how they have impacted me as their mentor because they make me a better mentor because I see that they've grown and healed. And now that like my client today, her son was murdered, uh, and murdered with a hit and run. And now her purpose, and I helped her with this today, is we're now going to help her find a way to change legislation. So now this thing that happened to her son can be accountable, can be accounted for. And good for her to be able to give that to the world because
Yeah.
her son didn't deserve to die like that and be
Mhm.
left there. And this tragedy happened. Nobody knew what to do with this kid. He could he have survived if people knew what to do in that moment? Maybe, maybe not. But if she can get legislation out there that says, hey, listen, if you're a standbyer and you don't take action and you just stand there with your phone doing this and you're not calling 911 to help this person,
Yeah.
shame on you. You should
Mhm.
be accountable as well. And I agree with that. So I know I went off on a little tangent there, but I'm just saying, like, helping that woman today figure out that she was doing the right thing by wanting to change legislation and be it the good for all. I think that's profound.
Oh, it is. And that is something that really magnetized myself to you was because you encourage people to be their own individual selves, to really look. I remember you said one time, like, kind of in one of your teachings, was like, look at all your past jobs, like, find what really like stands out or what did you like about like those jobs, and you can kind of figure out what your purpose is in life and maybe what you're really good at by kind of seeing everything you've kind of done in the past and what stands out to you. And that really, like the just that I feel like kind of simple advice, but it made me think, and I was able to discover what I liked and kind of what path I needed to go on. So I I I absolutely am so grateful for everything that you taught me because I felt so lost, and to be able to find you, and also what's really cool about the Soul School is you can get on there. I am one that like I'm a binger. Like I want to soak up as much knowledge as I possibly can, and I will go like through course after course after course. And what's cool about it is a lot of times you can just put your headphones on and listen, to some recordings. And I will, be doing my dishes or household chores, but, pausing to take notes in my phone as I do it. And I couldn't get enough. And you have multiple different topics, and it seemed like what I remember, like sometimes just looking at the different topics and being like, okay, what do I need today? And kind of guiding, towards that. And the other thing I wanted to point out, uh, there was like three things that always like stood out to me about of like what you teach, and it's what you've already kind of touched on. You spiritual, like being in touch with like the spiritual side, God, and then mediumship and business. And those were like the three things that I was looking for help in, because what people don't really like understand and talk about is like with me, I feel like I was so kind of blindsided with having like learning that I had mediumship abilities. I felt very lost. But I felt a calling, 100% I felt a calling. I felt like I am supposed to do something with it. Now, how scary is that to be like, okay, so should I quit my job? How am I going to make money? And then, so it's like not even just you're trying to learn how to be a medium. I'm trying to figure out like now business. I have to, like learn that side of it. And then also shedding and kind of learn, like shedding old beliefs, like working on yourself, and then kind of having like a new relationship of what like spirituality is, God is, and all that. So it's all hitting you at once. And so that is why I found when I found you and saw your videos and did your courses, I gained so much knowledge, and you were able to help me in all aspects that that I was looking for in that moment. And I highly recommend that anybody that is feeling like they're awakening, or because as you also said, and you say it in your teachings a lot, like you don't necessarily have to become a medium. It's, you can use these tools that you're teaching for any type of business. It doesn't just have to be like spirituality or some type of mediumship. Like it really does go hand in hand with any kind of business that you're trying to start up. Like you're working on yourself, like internally discovering who you are. So I feel like now I'm going on a tangent, but I just wanted to say how grateful I am and how you brought those three things, together. And do you notice that? Like, is that purposeful, for your clients?
Yes, absolutely. I had a client a couple of weeks ago who she does like hair stuff. She's in the beauty industry, and she was just really coming to me because she was like, hey, listen, Missy, I need help. I don't know what my purpose is. Like, I think I'm going to give up hair." And I was like, "Well, wait a second here, girlfriend. Let's dive into this. Let's like figure out what the problem is." And she was working at a salon, and she was taking clients, and she was always booked. She was making good money, but she was not fulfilled.
Hmm.
And that's the problem. So we have to get very clear on what it is that you want. That's where clarity comes in. It's one of those things that clarity, a lot of people think is a bunch of different things all put together, but clarity is about what your soul wants. Okay. And so I said to her, I was like, well, why do you do hair in the first place? And she goes, oh, because I love the colors and the textures. And I was like, okay, stop right there. What kind of clientele are you bringing in? She goes, well, middle-aged women who just the same cut, the same da da da. She goes, honestly, Missy, I cut hair like you have. And I was like, okay, well, let me ask you something. If I were to ask you to color my hair bright Ariel red, would you do it? She goes, no. And I said, well, why? And she's like, well, because I would be afraid that you wouldn't like it or what have you. I'm like, listen, right there, I would never pay you a penny to touch my hair. Not because you couldn't do it, but because you didn't believe that you could. And
Yeah.
I said, what you're missing out is your ideal client. Why are you aligning yourself with clientele that does not work for you? You have to align yourself and attract the clients and be visible to the clients that you want to attract, and your income will go up. So she started attracting a younger crowd where she could do color and rainbow hair and crazy cuts and all the things. And she started putting out pictures and videos and reels and just educating people on why coloring your hair crazy colors isn't going to kill it, type of thing. And she literally texted me like a couple of days later. She goes, Missy, I made $300 in one with one client because she wanted rainbow hair. She goes, thank you so much. I could cry. Just, I'm happy for her because she finally realized with clear authority that her clientele was not these 40 and 50-year-old women like me, but
Yeah.
for the person who wants the crazy color and the crazy haircut. And then they're going to start talking like, people jab at the jaw anyway. Like, hey, you should do this and do this. And so now she has a fully booked clientele list and she keeps getting clients and she's working in alignment with what she loved doing hair, making people feel beautiful just by adding some color or texture. Or she was even sharing, like, I even told her to start sharing the products that she would use on clients for brightly colored rainbow hair or what have you.
Yeah.
And it really changed her life. And I'm so grateful for her. And now she's just doing really well. And I'm very humbled by that. Sorry, I get emotional. I told you, my clients and my students are like, I love them. They're like my soul family. I call them my soul sister, or I'm the soul sister. If I work with men, I've worked with mayors before. And so I'm their soul sister. That's what I like to think of it as anyway.
Okay, so I had like 6 questions you just answered. So I I want to ask you. So let's say I'm your client and I am doing mediumship and but I'm not doing any kind of business. And say my biggest dharma is to spread the light. I am afraid to create too much of a business, not because I don't think I deserve it. I think I do because I have gone to all these classes and stuff. But I feel I somehow I just feel uncomfortable with that idea. And so what would you advise me to do or how to find the right niche? Because in the TikTok that I have, and that's one thing that Megan tells me all the time, like um I have a lot of share your light and don't let your light be dimmed, or that's the real topic I have. I have seen the pattern, you know, but I think I am ready to not to create a business, but to rightfully be able to make an income out of that abilities, those
Well,
abilities.
my first impression of what you were saying is you have to fix and heal the relationship you have with receiving money. For example, okay, Heidi, let's say a client says, I'm going to pay you $100 for a session with you. You have to be willing to say, oh, I deserve that. I receive that. Thank you. So you have to heal your relationship with what you've been taught and break those old limiting beliefs with money in order to tell yourself and give yourself permission to receive money for a service that you're in your zone of genius, if you will, and you're serving to someone, right? You're not selling, you're serving. When you serve, you create more of an impact, right? So if you can sit with that for just a moment, I want you to ask yourself, why are you doing this in the first place? If you don't want to have a business, but you want to accept money for your service, then what I would suggest you do is take on maybe 5 to 10 clients a week, maybe 2 weeks in a 2 week period, 5 clients a week to practice. And they're going to give you honest feedback. I literally will tell you this, as a kid in 3rd grade was my first like wow moment, like this stuff is real. Like I didn't understand the messages that were coming through. You learn that your entire life. But what you learn to do is you learn to trust yourself by getting the feedback from the people that you're serving to. And after you have decided that, okay, I'm going to trust myself now. I'm going to allow myself permission to receive money for this service that I'm offering, then guess what? Then you can start to change the relationship with your money mindset and manifesting the desire that you really wanted. So, why? What is the reason? And let me explain this. There's a difference between an excuse and a reason.
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
An excuse is something that you give to someone or to whoever about a situation because you didn't want to. A reason is because you could not, right? So there is a reason that you have this complex about receiving money versus having a business.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have, if you don't mind me interrupt, I have talked to quite a lot of people that share kind of the same idea. For example, in my case, I don't have any problem with business because I have had a couple of businesses that were very lucrative, and I had no problem receiving the money. But the problem for me of my thinking is because this is something, yes, I have taken so many classes and stuff, but it's a gift. And so my trouble is like, how can I take advantage of a gift that I have? And I have some kind of like a mental wall in there.
Let's think about Proverbs 31 for a moment, right? We talk about Proverbs is all about the woman and her buying a field
That's one of
to.
my favorite. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
So let's talk about that for a moment, because if the woman, even in scripture, says, hey, the woman is going to invest in a field and then
And you
she's
just
going to
answered my
sell.
question.
Yes, right? So for you, it's about you wanting to serve this gift to people, which is phenomenal. But at the same time, how do you have other businesses and everything, but how do you fulfill serving to people if they're not willing to invest into you? So you're giving them not only your energy and your knowledge,
Mm,
but you're giving them value. You're serving some integral value that they didn't have before they met you, and that's worth something. So if you don't want to charge for your services, then that that's really what you want to do. But I would say, if you're going to do readings for free and you're going to put yourself out there, you're going to get a lot of flack back. And the reason is because, let me explain something that I've learned. When people pay, they pay attention. When you offer something for free, people do not take accountability for what you've given them and what you've served to them. That is why I used to do readings for free. I am not even kidding you. I used to do readings for free for years. Finally, my husband said, hey, listen, people are calling you 4 or 5 days a week. we have kids, we have bills. Like, God wants us to be fruitful. That's what scripture says, is we need to be not only the alchemist, but we also have to be that archetype of the creative, the creator, right? So if you're creating healing and inspiration from the divine, then that's worthwhile, right? But if
Yeah.
you don't want to charge for that, I can't make you change your mind. I
No,
can just
I
tell
think
you
it's
people won't find as much value in what you have to say if you don't charge.
it's like you were saying, it's the intention, right? What
Hmm.
intention do you make it from? Thank you so much. That was a great answer. And I hope that people who are listening really think about it and takes advantage of that advice, because that's actually really, really good advice. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Can I add something onto that really quick?
Absolutely.
So, what you and Megan are doing, Heidi, you are serving the world with this free content, right?
Hmm.
This is you doing your work, love. This is you doing and serving your gifts to other people. It's a natural talent. But let's say someone wants to take your time and it's an hour of your time and you have to be taken away from your kids or your family or the house chores or what have you. That is your time. And let me just give you this, your time is your most valuable asset. You cannot get it back. It's
Hmm.
worth something.
Yeah, for those that don't know the Proverbs 31, I will advise you to go and read it, because it is true. It's dedicated to us women. There's ministers that are called precisely Proverbs 31, because it's how the woman, multiply things, and how she wakes up early in the morning. And that's I think that that responds a lot of answers immediately. So yeah, I appreciate it so much.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
I'm glad that topic came up because it is in the spiritual world, it's so crazy how often that topic gets brought up where people either one feel I exactly what was Heidi was already saying is that I have these spiritual gifts, I shouldn't like charge for them. And then vice versa, clients being like, I shouldn't have to pay for your spiritual gifts if it's, something God gave you. And it is crazy because any other type of business or exchange of like gifts, I mean, doctors are gifted and what they can do in surgery and what do we say? Oh, God gave you that talent. Like you should be performing these surgeries for free. Like no, that would never even be heard of to say something like that. So why is it that this is such a hot topic for mediumship? In it, but it is. I'm glad that you brought it up, Heidi. Um, but it brings me to Missy, your own podcast, which is Spiritual CEO, which I feel like kind of probably talks about that topic, or well, maybe not necessarily that topic, but you're not afraid to get money, you know, for the spiritual gifts. Do you want to tell us about your podcast? Um,
Sure. So my podcast is called The Spiritual CEO, and this is basically spirituality and business sense all together for all of those soulpreneurs. And it's basically
Let
where,
me just tell you, when you said that word earlier, I had to like write it down because I'm like, can I steal that? Can I start using that? I love it.
sure, I,
I've
so
never heard
that
it before, but it's cool.
I actually am getting ready to start writing my third book. I have chapter one draft already done, and the word soulpreneur came to me in a download. So I'm like, okay,
Nice.
God, I listened to you. I'm being obedient. So that may or may not be a word I use in my next book, FYI. So
Yeah.
um, that's funny. So I'm glad you like my Missyism. My husband calls them Missyisms. I don't know why. I just make up these words and then we use them around the house. It is what it is.
Yeah, I love it.
But the Spiritual CEO podcast, it's where I literally talk about my own journey, my ups and downs on finding purpose. I'm going to help you define your purpose, figure out how to make impact and activate income. And I have a whole methodology on this, and it's so simple and it's worked for hundreds of my students in the past. I actually have a boot camp coming up, to a free boot camp, which is called the Profitable Purpose Boot Camp, which is fun. I teach people a little bit about what I do, but the podcast, I started it because I was having the same conversations with my students behind the scenes. So I started Soul School because I was having the same conversations with my clients who then turned into students. And then I was like, you know what? I really, need to take this information and put it in a platform that I can just, hey, you know what? You want more information? Here, listen to this episode. And I think it's God's calling, because I heard this download, like, they will listen to you. We have 2 ears to listen twice as much as we speak. And I'm going to speak once, put it in the podcast, and then people can hear it as many times as they want. And it's the way I can serve the collective with my talents and my gifts. And I know a lot of people have that feeling where they're asking those those questions where they're questioning God, and, saying to themselves, like, I feel called to do more, but I don't know, what it means. And, or they'll say things like, um, I don't know what to do. I don't know what my purpose is. I know I'm meant for something, but I don't trust myself enough to, get through it or whatever. And the podcast really became a space where I could talk honestly and raw about my life, where I've had students wins, losses, my own financial wins and losses in business. But if I can serve to you anything that will help you based on my experience, that alone is priceless. And the podcast is where I'm teaching people purpose, intuition, money, mindset, like all the messy things that uh, create the person that you are becoming and the person that God wanted you to lead your life by, if that makes any sense. Like, that's what this whole thing is about. And this doesn't come from a place of, oh, I'm better than you. It comes from a place of real life experiences. Like, I'm even sharing one of my episodes is actually about how I had the worst review of my life. And I was devastated by this horrible review, and I wrote, or I talked about that episode, and you can go in, read this horrible review on Google right now. And in the podcast, I explain why I said and responded to that woman the way I did, because you can have something bad to you happen in your business, but you don't have to let it affect you. You can learn from it and grow from it. And I feel like my podcast isn't about having business and spirituality figured out, but I'm teaching you to trust yourself, to really follow that, wisdom nudge from heaven, if you will, but really taking the next aligned step, even if that step feels uncomfortable or ugly. That's where our transition happens. That's where we transform. And I want my listeners to know that I see them, I feel them, I've been there, and I can help them through it. And it's free. The podcast is a free thing. But if they want to work with me, they absolutely can. But I don't want them to feel that they can't do something. I want them to know that they absolutely can. And the podcast is really just an extension of my work for the people who are ready to stop doubting themselves, to start building a life and maybe a business, and actually live a life that feels aligned to them. And like my client who, was in the beauty industry, she was not happy with what she was doing because she had the wrong ideal client. Once we figured out her, you know, Layla was, I like to call it Layla, like love you like a sister. Once she figured out who her Layla, her ideal client avatar name is, then she figured out who she should teach to and attract to. And now her income is great. And she's got a fully packed schedule. And now she's living her aligned life, impacting people, making them feel beautiful and pretty and fun. And she's making income. And that's astonishing. I mean, it It's like, I know this, that the universe doesn't move until you move first. It's a chess game. You have to tell the universe what your clear intention is. And there's two things I know with intention. One, there's two aspects to intention. One is intention comes when you are sick and tired and can no longer live in the current situation that you're in. There's a trigger. Something happened in your life where you're like, okay, my intention is changing. The second aspect of this is you have this idea that keeps coming back to you. And it's like that's the trigger of what your next step is. So once we get clear on those two aspects of intention, we get clear on what your purpose is. And I teach that in my coaching program.
You know, it comes to mind what you're really doing is you're not giving a fish to people. You're teaching them how to fish. And especially women, you know, and I'm not saying that all your students are only women. I'm sure you gotta have some
Oh,
males.
yeah. I have some men in my class in soul school. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My husband
But
teaches too. So, yes.
like you say, you're teaching them to follow their dharma and to make a living out of that while they're with their children. Like Megan, my children are old, like the youngest is 15 and the oldest is 30, you know. And but Megan has little ones, and instead of going somewhere else to earn a living, she's there doing something good and meaningful and loving and kind while she's with her children, you know. And that all on its own, it's also a lesson for their children that they don't have to give up their dream, you know, for something such like money, you know. Money, you can make it from home doing something you love. And so yeah, very good job.
So, Missy, can you tell everybody where they can find you and Soul School and your podcast?
Sure. Everybody can find me on my website. It's just missytolley.com. So MISSYTOLLEY.com. And you can find everything I do there. So it's quite fun. A lot of resources for people.
Yeah, guys, go follow her, go take classes with her. Like after what we are listening, sounds like a very tempting and fruitful thing to do.
Yes. Thank you, Missy, so much for coming on our podcast today. It was great talking with you.
Thank you so much, ladies. Have a blessed rest of your day.
Thank you so much for being part of today's Quantum Quest. We hope this conversation awakens something new within you, a spark, a question, a remembering. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, keep exploring with an open mind and an open heart. Bye for now.